Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the end of April of 2024, and given that all divisions over at the Walt Disney Company are pretty much going through a very challenging time right now, not just because of Bob Iger's lack of leadership skills, but also his deliberate agenda and his constant lying to not just the shareholders, but also to what he calls the customers, right? This is an ongoing problem over at Disney, and it's not just catered to Bob Iger and the board. We also have to look down at the weed of all things, and that is, of course, the top three shareholders, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Disney right now is that they are pretty much locked in a corner. They don't know what to do anymore because there's a lot of actors and actresses turning their backs on them. There's also a large majority of fans and the general public beginning to realize what Disney's all about, after many people have called them out endlessly, like South Park Studios, Elon Musk, the Daily Wire, and that's just the beginning. Alright, so basically Disney's agenda is becoming more and more mainstream. It's becoming more widely known among the people, and that's exactly why Bob Iger is just in a phase of, panic right now, basically trying to do whatever he can to really boost up those numbers, whether it's box office or whether it's ratings on Disney Plus. Any scenario they want to improve. Now, interestingly enough, there's been a lot of things going on behind closed doors when it comes to the many projects that are either greenlit or that are actually still in that development phase, or that limbo phase, if you will, where they're still trying to figure things out. Now, specifically, of course, with the Walt Disney Company facing many challenges for all of their divisions right now, one major development has much to do with actress Sydney Sweeney and what she recently did to Disney after many heated arguments took place for multiple projects that she was negotiating Disney with. Now, as it turns out, Sweeney has been in deep conversations with both Marvel Studios and more specifically Kevin Feige on entering the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One shocking turn of events is that Disney reportedly, after losing Jenna Ortega, has been hanging on to Sweeney to use her familiarity for multiple roles within the Walt Disney Company, including 3 live-action opportunities as well as 1 animated opportunity to do extensive voiceover work for that animated film as one of the main characters. For starters, it turns out that Disney analysts had informed Bob Iger and the rest of the board earlier this month that some of these projects would only succeed based on the familiar faces or the familiar actresses that they aimed to hire. Recently, however, Sweeney decided to back away from many Disney offers after they were forcing their DEI agenda into the story. Now, DEI, for those of you that do not know, stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This included a major Marvel role that was handpicked for Sweeney in a major Marvel Phase 7 film that is actively in the works right now and is set to be announced in the fall. Now, Sweeney, of course, secretly, gave Disney all of her power in the beginning, basically allowing her familiarity to pretty much boost their revenue, boost their box office numbers, until realizing what was going on with their Disney agenda. Now, interestingly enough, this included a major Marvel role that was handpicked for Sweeney in a major Marvel Phase 7 film, as we discussed before. However, on top of that, much like how she backed down from Pirates of the Caribbean, that cost Disney hundreds of millions of dollars in expected revenue by using both Jenna Ortega and Sydney Sweeney for Pirates of the Caribbean, recently Sweeney shot down multiple Marvel Studio offers for different characters that she was handpicked for, and is already giving those like Kevin Feige and Bob Iger an ultimatum that she will not be taking things any further unless they drop their DEI agenda from Marvel's Phase 7 and even cameos for Phase 6 that are currently planned for her. Now, this deal that Sweeney was offered was described to be massive after her desperate move to enter into the superhero trend. Right now, Disney is backed into a corner since many of their projects, such as a new Disney live-action remake based on an animated classic, was also planned to cast Sweeney until she recently exited. The reasons they greenlit those, of course, untitled projects, including the live-action remake, was that the character was handpicked for her. Those like Iger and Feige are already closed in a corner, since their strategy right now for many projects is by hiring new it girls, quote-unquote, in Hollywood that are rising in popularity to sell their films. And already Disney analysts informed those like Bob Iger and how this all resulted in a loss of hundreds of millions of dollars just for starters right off the bat when Sweeney shot down multiple roles, just like Jenna Ortega did not all that long ago. Now, one thing about this, guys, before I move on, is that we know that Bob Iger and his cost containment plan, his cost-cutting measures, are wreaking havoc, alright? And I think in a more serious matter for divisions like Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios. Now, when you mess around with brands like that are going to get a treatment where movies will appear a little bit more cheaper, they're going to have a smaller production, it's going to be more smaller scale based starting in 2025, I think it really spells doom for everything related to Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, and everything else moving onwards, like the Disney live action remakes becoming more small scale. That's when you realize that Disney is beginning to cave into that corner where they don't really know what to do anymore. So at the end of the day, this is Bob Iger using cheap strategies to boost box office numbers by using familiar faces, by inserting new it girls in Hollywood, just to get their fan base to cross over into those films. That's basically what Bob Iger and Kevin Feige have planned to do with Sweeney, and what Bob Iger had planned to do also with Jenna Ortega for those other Disney-related movies. And there's a lot of drama, revolving Jenna Ortega and all of that behind the scenes as well. We'll talk more about that. But interestingly enough, there's a lot of things going on with Deadpool and Wolverine separate from the whole Sydney Sweeney scenario, as we have discussed many times. Now, moving onwards, alright, now, Sweeney was even offered a Star Wars role for a new Star Wars film that is set to be announced, as they wanted to provide Sweeney a role as one of the new villains in the Star Wars world. This too was also shot down by Sweeney and her team, her agent and manager. Both her agent and manager are the ones who sided with her on how things should be done with her characters provided by Disney, and and how Disney was unwilling to change their ways, as Bob Iger doubles down yet again. So look, this is all about Bob Iger. He doubles down on everything. He doesn't listen to whatever failed in the previous year. When you look at all the failures, all the box office failures of 2023, sure, he commented about it. He talked about quieting down the noise. He talked about, focusing less on sequels and focusing less on unnecessary follow-up films, and yet he's still doing it. He's still doing it to this very day, announcing unnecessary titles for 2025, 26, and even 2027 moving onwards. And it's going to be their demise in the end, I believe, if they keep things up this way. So overall, there's a lot of things going on here with Kevin Feige and Bob Iger. I think that in recent years, Kevin Feige has really, just gone to the wayside. He doesn't know what to do with Marvel anymore, and he had a good run as far as I'm concerned. I think everything ended with Endgame / No Way Home. After that, everything has just gone downhill, and it's not looking to improve any further beyond 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine may very well be the one exception, because they have been listening to Ryan Reynolds. Anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.